Welcome to our April 27th budget hearings. We are focused on fire tonight, or the suppression thereof and the prevention thereof. And so most of our conversation is going to be centered around our incredible public safety firefighters this evening. And so we have a quorum with council members McKenzie, Arnold, and Karn. And so I will call the meeting to order at 6:35 p.m. And we will get started with fire administration. Questions on page 1. I've got a question at 52, 57, 40, and 52, 57, 43. You made requests in both of those columns that were zeroed out. What did you ask for?
Well, those items were...
Chief, I'm sorry. I apologize if you could just turn on the microphone and make sure that you're talking into it. Thank you.
Yeah, those two items are R&M for facilities, and I believe the money was moved into Ladarian's budget. Okay. I think those two items, is that correct, Ms. Huggins?
Yes, and we're moving it back.
Yeah.
You're moving it back to fire?
Yeah,
Yes.
back to fire. Yeah,
Okay.
we have some things, operational things that kind of doesn't necessarily need to fall in Ladarian's wheelhouse. It's kind of better off with us. So they're going to move it back for us.
Because of the specialized knowledge?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All righty. Other questions on page 1?
Chief, any vacancies in administration?
No.
All right.
Moving on to page 2.
Uh, 52, 6230 for conventions and meetings. I know that we have to go to the detail to actually see all of the breakout, but the question that I had was, it looks like the number is going to double. Is it because additional conferences are being added, or what's happening there?
Yes, ma'am. If you look at the breakdown, those are the basic conferences we go to every year. I think nothing's really changed as far as the frequency. So I think that was a kind of the basic conferences we always go to: EMS, FRI, the Emergency Managers Association, and GEMSA.
Gotcha. I was only looking at it because about 75% of the money that has, when you look at the actuals, it's, like I said, it looked like it was almost doubling a little bit on the budget.
Yes, ma'am.
We've had some new members added to
Okay,
the
all
staff.
right, then that would,
So
then
those
that
are
would be
some
the increase.
conventions and things.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
And if you remember last year, we consolidated one of our budgets. We took our EMS budget and brought that into fire. So those numbers may be off a little bit because they
Gotcha.
just optically they look a little different. But that whole division was brought underneath administration, so those numbers will tend to fluctuate based on Chief Taylor's division.
Understood. Okay, thank
Madam
you.
Court Reporter, are you doing okay over there?
Just Ms. Huggins.
Yes, ma'am.
A little louder if you don't.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Additional questions on page 2. Moving on to page 3, I had a question at 54, 75, 90.
Yes.
You made a pretty substantial request there. Looks like it got brought down to one vehicle. What did you ask for? And what was cut?
Initially, we requested an additional ambulance, fire safety house, and then a replacement vehicle for the deputy fire chief. So the vehicle for the chief was left in, but the ambulance and the safety house were removed.
Yes, I cut it. That funding is not gonna happen.
I know that the fire safety house has been a discussion for multiple years.
Yes. Yes.
What's the status of that apparatus?
I mean, it's not the best representation of College Park. I think you look at it, we're just trying to do whatever repairs we can just to make it operational. As far as I think we had to do some welding on the hinge where it buckles against the pickup truck, and some of the interior is starting to fray and all that. It's 25 years old, I believe. So I think, for the life of any kind of vehicle, I think it's reached this period. So I think it's time eventually we're going to have to kind of look at it, or I think the hardest part for me is keeping it in service for the citizens and the kids so they can have something. But necessarily, I'm kind of always cringy when I'm looking at what I'm giving them, but that's just the best I have. So that's kind of where I'm stuck. It's either not provide the service or give them that, and I just choose to give them that. Chief Slaughter and I have multiple discussions on that, so that's kind of where we are.
Any other questions on page 3? Questions on page 1 of the transaction report? Moving on to page 2. Questions on page 3? Questions on page 4 of the transaction report?
Chief, I think we may have missed, since if we can look at 53, 70, 30.
Yes.
So we're gonna have to move those funds.
Say again, please.
53, 70, 30.
Food and dietary,
No.
52.
Employee birthday, funeral,
$1,200.
right?
Yeah, right here. So the first line, you're gonna move that?
Actually, that line brings in something even, we've been looking at, we've been discussing bereavement, but we hadn't talked about other life events that occur. So I think that enlarges, if we were going to work with a nonprofit, the scope is not just bereavement, but any type of things that we want to do on behalf of the city to show concern and kindness to our employees.
And I'll be bringing that back soon up to
Okay.
you guys to talk about which nonprofit I think would be ideal for us to partner with.
Okay.
Hey, Chief, guess while we're on that, I'm assuming your employees, like everybody else, they're utilizing the birthday holiday we established? Are they aware of that?
They are.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Yes, sir.
We're pretty much the only city in the region that's doing that.
Yeah, that's a good benefit.
Yeah, I think it's a good touch. I was just curious about that. I want to make sure everyone's taking advantage of it.
Yes, sir.
Questions on the supporting documentation? Moving forward to fire suppression, questions on page 1.
All right, same question. Any vacancies in fire suppression?
1.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, you're doing well.
All right, just a regular firefighter or?
Yes, it's regular firefighter. Yes.
I am going to ask you about the adjunct instructor position and what's that about going on? Because I know that was a request, but we can come to that later.
Sure.
Okay.
Well, we are on page 1. I mean, that is 51, 5210, that position consideration. So if you want to have the conversation now.
Sure, I was going to do it in supporting documentation. However, can you tell us a little bit more about that position?
Yeah, initially we asked for a part-time adjunct instructor for fireground training. We start to look at do an analysis on how much overtime we're using just to cover the recruit training. And so it was just kind of prudent to say, okay, my preference would be a full-time position, but right now we took, city manager allowed me to have the $15,000 to do the part-time adjunct which somebody just filled that position within a week or so ago. So we haven't really reaped the benefits of it yet because it's still the learning curve of a new position in a new place. But I expect dividends to pay from that. But going forward, based on the level of training and the things we have, that's maybe a consideration we have to address in the near future.
So I guess that's why I was going to ask you on the supporting documentation, because 515210 is actually for $115,869. So that's more than just the adjunct position.
It's a salary and the benefits.
Yeah, usually salary and benefits.
Oh, I thought you said 15,000.
That was just for it's kind of,
Okay.
the person was like a part-time position, and it was just how much money we had to allocate for that remainder of the year. That's where the 15 came from. But as far as a full vacancy, filling a vacancy, that will be more something that will be year-round and kind of stretching out. So there will be some additional expenses with that. We
Okay,
should
so
look at
this
benefits
is
and possibly a vehicle and everything else with that.
cool. So this will cover, this 115,000 will cover what you've asked for.
Yeah,
Yes.
so basically the request is to reclass it to a full-time position.
full-time.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay,
From PT to FTE.
sounds good.
So
Just
the
wanted
city
to kind of
manager
get
was
some-
very generous.
He were, thank you.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I didn't want to look down there too hard because I didn't want to.
I wanted to make sure, I was just checking to make sure, and I wanted people to understand
Yes.
also what
Yeah.
what the importance and the value
Yes.
that was bringing to our department, so.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
contrary to my previous.
Thank you, Mr.
statement,
Hicks.
no, city manager is very generous on this.
He's definitely very generous. I caught him in a good day.
That's good, I'm glad, and I see it's on, it's in ink, so we're good.
Yes, ma'am.
Additional questions on page 1? Moving on to page 2, got a question in contractual services, 526170. Looks like you're at 158% of budget there, but you are set at the same number that you are this year. So is that a realistic number given where you are at this point in our fiscal year?
So West Nathan first doing all that stuff.
Yeah, I think,
Ms. Huggins, make sure your voice is up.
I'm sorry. I think what happened in that line, I think it may have been allocated from the incorrect line. We had budgeted an
That's what I was
expense.
thinking.
We had budgeted an expense in another line, and I'm waiting for a reclass.
Okay.
Through finance. So that's what happened with that.
Alrighty. Any other questions on page 2?
Also was wondering if maybe, did we get someone in that is that the adjunct position, or is that person started yet, or?
They've started, but
So
that's.
were they being
Yeah.
paid from the contractual services line?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No, ma'am.
They're paid
All right.
from salaries. I'm a part-time.
Got
Yeah, if
it.
you look at page 205, like those are just kind of first do the OSS and the WestNet. Those are those services. Kind of like the IT software kind of related services.
Right.
That's what
Okay,
that is.
okay, I hadn't looked at that.
And those numbers just, it's hard to kind of project exactly what they'll be because that number seem to always kind of run away with us. So it's kind of hard to figure that out.
Additional questions on page 2? Moving to page 3, line 547520. Is that the same issue that we had earlier, that it went to
Yes,
facilities, but it's coming back?
that's correct. That's correct.
Okay. Additional questions on page 3? Moving on to transaction report, questions on page 1. Moving to page 2. Page 3. Page 4.
Your drinking water pallets, is this about, do we get about the same amount every year? Just about?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just curious about that. All right.
Additional questions on page 4? Moving to page 5. Under 547640, those Motorola handheld emergency radios, is that an upgrade or an upgrade of current equipment?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
They
what I
phased
figured.
out.
Okay. Questions on the supporting documentation?
Nope, I just want to say thank you guys for your service. Thank you for everything that you do. Just think it's important to let you know how much you are appreciated. You guys work hard and you lose sleep. You're out there supporting us, running into danger, you know, to keep us safe. So I just wanted to say thank you to the whole team. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you very much. I got a great team.
You do.
Any questions on supporting documentation? Hearing none, that concludes our business for the evening. We are adjourned at 6:51 p.m.
Chief Jones, thank you for what you guys do. I share the sentiments of the mayor and council here. You guys do an awesome, awesome job. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank y'all.
I see we got you out of here.